It is DJ Ash Noble here. Welcome back to another stream. Today we are doing the bounce to the base aftermath at the Tropic Bar in Doncaster, and going to tell you all about what that was like, and I'll also give you a little update regarding Saturday's gig that I didn't actually end up attending for some reasons which I'll talk about in the stream as well. And also, I've got a little bit of unfortunate bad news, sad news that I want to kind of talk about as well. That I think I'm going to touch up on a little later in the stream as well. So if you do like this stuff, like and subscribe. It's not a big thing for me, like likes and subs and growing YouTube. It's just for me, it's just another platform to kind of just sort of announce the things I'm doing, and if there's anything I want to say or get off my chest or just anything I want to do, I kind of use the YouTube for it. And if people like it, they like it. If they don't, see you later. But yeah, so Friday I was invited back to the Tropic Bar to play Bounce to the Bass, the second event since it kind of took over and it kind of changed its name. It had a little bit of a revamp. So the original promoter used to run like a free entry night at the last Friday of every month, basically. And then the guy who was running it got really busy, sort of outside of music, and it took a new job. And the new job was a lot more hours, and he just didn't genuinely find himself having time to put DJs on and just promote things and get flyers made and be there at the start to plug everything in and to set up and stuff. And obviously, just really didn't have time. So he decided that he would pass it on to a good friend of his called Liam Wilson, who rebranded the name into Bounce to the Bass. And that is now, as you see it now, and it still runs just like it did, a free event on the last Friday of every month, which is a really, really good thing. It's a really good vibe, and they do some really, really cool things there. Putting some different DJs on and just giving a night of bounce music, really. So I got invited for the second time, and I was B2B with Crofty, who is a up and coming DJ, sort of just smashing it himself, really. And ended up playing Pure last night. He did, which was really good to see. And by the way, I just want to touch up on Pure as well, because I've not, or unfortunately, I've not been to one of Kenty's events yet. But I always see them online, and I see them popping off, and I see that the next ones get announced, and I see the hype around them. And I just want to say that there's a lot of people that they post online that like Kenty is the guy, and like Kenty is like one of the probably one of the biggest and the best promoters out there in terms of like the bounce scene. And I just want to say that I think like I 100% agree. Every time I see one of his events online, I see, like I say, I see the flyers, and then I see the hype for it, and everybody's like proper buzzed for it. And I don't think there's I don't think there's been many events where it hasn't sold out, which is, like for, especially in the sort of day and age and the era that we're in now. I mean, there was a news article about a week ago that stated that there was, that so many clubs are closing a month and by 2030. So for Kenty to basically be putting an event on and selling it out is a really good thing. I mean, back in the day, people all the time would have, gone raving, and raves were big things, and clubs were busy all the time. Now, selling an event out in this day and age is like a really, really, like, you've done a mega achievement if you've sold, if your event's sold out, if you've sold all your tickets, and you only have a few spaces left on the door. You really have you really have done something quite magical. So it's really good to see. And when I see the videos of the events, they always look like they're popping off. And Pure is just absolutely looks like a banging venue. I one day will make a debut there, whether it be to play, whether it be to I'd love to go just to attend an event there at some point. Don't get me wrong, be a dream to play there. I'd love to do it one day, but I would like to just go there in general as well, and hit up one of them events, and because they always look so good on the videos, and I look at the videos and I think, I'd love to be right in that crowd with all them banging donk tunes going off. It would just be like, it would just be a really cool thing for me. So really good, and it's good to see some of my Doncaster friends like Tyndall and Joe Dunn and stuff like that, just getting these opportunities, and Crofty to play on these on these bigger scaled events. And Tyndall, might I add, he got booked on the main stage this time as opposed to the second room, so he kind of, for him, I guess it was like he leveled up. And then JRP also joined in B2B on the main stage, and they tore it apart. And it's just really good to see, when you see somebody like Tyndall, who's put graft in, and you see how he's come sort of leaps and bounds with his production, and how he's come leaps and bounds with playing sets at bookings, and then to kind of see him get that moment where he's on this massive stage, and there's this like really where there's this like big stage, and then you've just got this massive crowd of hundreds of people. It's a really good moment for him, and I'm really proper buzzed for him. So anyway, back to the matter at hand, the Tropic Bar. So myself and Crofty, we went B2B at 7:50, and we did a 45-minute set, and it was a really, really enjoyable set. I had such a good vibe, just being behind the decks and spinning tunes. As far as B2Bs go, I'm going to be completely honest. I don't think me and Crofty really worked the best as a B2B. Like we did all right, but sometimes you can do B2Bs with somebody and you'll just bounce off each other. And then other times you can do B2Bs with people and they'll work, but you don't have the most absolutely slamming set. And I've definitely, and nothing against Crofty, but I've had better back-to-backs in the past. I feel like, I've had better back-to-backs in the past, and I just feel, I'm not a big B2B person. I like to do solo sets if I can. I like doing solo sets, but what I was going to say is we still had an enjoyable set, and I still enjoyed the vibe. So I just basically really had a fun vibe still, and it was just absolutely amazing to see that these good vibes were going down and taking place, and everybody that was in there seemed happy with the set, which is the main thing. And then I just floated around the event really, and just enjoyed what I could. I went on the train, so I debated going on my bike, and then I just thought, you know what, like the weather wasn't the best on Friday. It was a little bit sort of like it was a bit damp, it was a bit drizzly, it was quite cold, and I just thought, because I can't go on the motorways. So I thought, like, I'm going to have to go on the A roads, and it takes about an hour and 40 minutes. And I just thought, in this weather, it's not really worth it. So thinking I've got a booking the next day, I just thought I'll go on the train. Then I've got no choice but to get the last train back. So that kind of forces me to behave in a way and not have like a mega late night where I'm getting in at like 2, 3, 4 in the morning, which I thought was obviously quite a good thing. And so I did that, which unfortunately, I missed a couple of sets, and there was some people I would have liked to have witnessed, but unfortunately I had to leave, before they played. But I still had a really, really enjoyable vibe. and I was very grateful for the booking. So a massive shout to Liam Wilson for putting me forward and putting me on the lineup again for the second time. And he did say he'd be in touch, so I would imagine whether it be next month, whether it be the month after, or whether it be in the new year, I would imagine I'll be making a return to the Tropic Bar again at some point, as I think he was definitely, he liked the energy, and I think I did a good vibe. So I can imagine I'll be back at some point. So I'm looking forward to being able to announce that, or whenever that may be, and that'll be really really good vibe. So we move on to Saturday, and Saturday I was supposed to do a family rave in Grimsby. So I woke up on Saturday morning and it was gig day, so I did my usual, like, gig day number two, you can catch me here today, blah blah blah. And I was supposed to be going with the layman. He was supposed to be hosting my set, and I woke up. And I woke up a little bit later than I really intended to do, and realised the event started at 12, and I thought, the layman's photographing this event, so we're going to have to be there in quite good time. So basically, I woke up and I was a bit like, oh, what time are we setting off? Because I still had 101 things to do. I had to dress into a Halloween outfit. I had to, jump in the shower and everything. I needed a shave, and I had to do loads of, just general getting ready things. And I hadn't had a drink or any breakfast. And I thought, I can't go out without having any brekkie, if you like. So, I dropped him a message, and then he said no rush. Apparently, the ticket sales had been really bad, really really bad. So I was like, all right, So the plan was we was going to go in a little bit, and then we requested that the promoter was to let us know what the event was like once it had got going, like, if many people had come, what the score was, and basically the promoter just never got back in touch with us to let us know how the event was doing. And we didn't want to drive all that way, just for nothing, and that there was just a bit of uncertainty. So we decided not to do the booking in the end, and I went to an event in Hull instead, and just attended an event which, I was a little gutted because, I hate kind of like not doing bookings, like, or when a booking pulls through, I hate it because, like, you make plans to do that booking, and then not only that, you get excited for it. And I do as a DJ. I love playing at venues and places, and and I'm all week thinking about, like, what tune am I gonna start with, and just getting sort of excited for it, and then just that, oh well, by the way, it's not happening now. It's a little bit of a gutting thing. And then I went to this other event, and I thought, I'm enjoying myself, but like, I just felt like the whole day didn't really go the way I'd planned it. I was a little bit annoyed because I thought, like, I could have made like some pre-arrangements, like I could have gone to Wigan or something yesterday to witness that event. And don't get me wrong, the event in Hull, it was a banging event, and it was really enjoyable. But like the style of music, like the hard techno, is like, I don't mind it, but for me, it gets boring for me. So like, the hard techno, like, if you've like listened to like really hard techno, it's just a constant same beat. A lot of the drops are very very similar. The breakdowns are very minimal. It's not really vocally. So all it really is just like do 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 do, and that is like literally all it is. And I know a lot of people would say like, well, donk is just that same donk bass all the way through. But the thing about donk is you have different vocals, you have breakdowns, you have different build-ups, you have different styles of drops. Some drops are a bit harder, some drops are a bit lighter, some drops have like organ sounds in them, some tracks have pianos in them. There's a real sort of versatile difference within. It isn't just literally that same doof, doof, doof all the way through. So after a while, it gets a little bit boring for me. I think, if I'd have gone to the House of Horrors, it would, I would have genuinely have had a better time, because I like going to the, I like my bounce events, obviously. But I still enjoyed myself and saw a lot of people I knew. So that was really Saturday. That was it really. So Friday was the only gig, hence why that was the only one I put in the title for the aftermath, because that was the only one we'd done, unfortunately. So the next booking for me, I believe I've got a couple of weeks off now. The next one is on the 21st, and it's actually a Thursday. It's a charity event in Hull, at the same bar, Bar Babylon, the same venue I played a couple of weeks ago, where I absolutely just had like one of the best sets ever. So I'm quite looking forward to it, but I'm a bit skeptical like of how it's going to be with it being like on a Thursday night. I don't know, because sometimes on a weekend it's a struggle to fill venues. So I'm thinking like a Thursday night is probably going to be extra harder, when it's still technically like a school night and a work night. So we'll have to see what happens, but I'm kind of looking forward to it. So we'll just kind of take it from there, I suppose, and kind of see what happens. But yeah, that is literally it. So yeah, so really good vibes in Doncaster. Grimsby just didn't sadly happen, and yeah. So Bar Babylon, the next booking that I am aware of. I'll have to like just make a double check, but I'm quite good at remembering bookings, and the next one that stands out to me is that one. But there is a couple of events in between that I will be like just going and attending. I think there's one at the warehouse next weekend. I think I'll more than likely be going to that, and then there's one the week after, which is at the it's at the what you call it. It's at the Light in Scunthorpe. I'll be more than likely going to that one. Then I think the following week is like the Rave Escape. So I will more than likely go to that one as well. We'll just have to see. But that is kind of like the score, if that makes sense. So that's kind of what's going down, taking place at the moment. So I did say at the beginning of the stream, if you're locking in now while it's live, you'll have missed it. If you're listening back, then you might have heard it at the beginning, depending how much of it you've listened to, if you've got this far. But I said at the beginning of the stream, there was a little bit of bad news, a little bit of sad news, and unfortunately, the legend from the hardcore scene, DJ Psy, has actually decided to retire with immediate effect from the hardcore scene, from DJing, from music, essentially. So I've tried to, try to kind of look into sort of what's happened and what's gone on, because obviously, you don't just retire for no reason, and everybody kind of like jumps the gun far too early. Like there was rumours that he was retiring, and then you've got like half of Facebook posting about it before you've heard anything official, and then there's all these different posts, and you don't know what's legit and what isn't legit. But I saw one that was an official statement from DJ Psy, and he said that he'd been driving up and down the country for well over 35 years or something, doing the love of his life, which was music and DJing. He said something about, his ears are not so good. His ears have gone, and he's just basically ready for a rest now. He's just, and I suppose in a way, like I'm at that stage right now where I'm absolutely loving life and I want to be on the road every weekend and going somewhere and DJing. But I suppose, like, when you look at somebody like him and he's done it for, for 35 plus years, all them times you've gone onto motorways and then there's been a lane closed or there's been a lane delayed, or there's been road works and you've been slowed down to a 30 zone, or the motorway shut so you end up being turned off like a couple of turn offs early, or the motorway's just completely shut and you have to take an A road and it adds time onto your journey. The countless times where you've been late for a set, and when you're a big boy like him, and there's an event on where you're playing, like a lot of people buy tickets and they go to that event because they want to see you. You're that person there on that flyer that they've listened to for years, and they want to come and see you live. So you can kind of understand from like his point of view why after like 35 plus years it would get a little tiring. Plus, you've been in loud clubs with headphones for 35 plus years, and then you've been in studios making music or whatever. you know and it will. I mean, I've noticed that I've been in clubs and things, and then I've like come out and I've had where I think I've like just sort of injured my ears a little bit. Luckily they've healed, but it just shows that like as much as this game is it's a shed load of fun and I absolutely love it. It just shows that it can, after a while, and especially like for him for 35 plus years, or however long it's been, it can really take impact on your ears. And like I say, when you've been traveling for that long, it can really be mad thing. I mean, the guy was DJing before I was born, so all of my life, from being born, from learning to walk, learning to talk, you know, learning to eat by myself, going to school, basically growing up, graduating school, then being legal to have a drink in a pub, to having a motorbike on the road, to now living in my own place. Like, he's been DJing all of that time, and he's been a part of the scene. And even before then, he was DJing, and he was a part of the scene. So you can understand, in a way, why obviously he's a little bit like ready for a rest now, if you like. And yeah, so it's gutting. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's an absolute legend, and we don't like to lose a legend, but unfortunately, it's not about us. If he's tired, and if his ears are giving him hassle, and he's just genuinely had enough, um, then unfortunately, that's his decision and that's on him. We have to respect that. We can have a little whinge or a little cry on Facebook, but unfortunately, it's not going to make him think, what, I'm not going to retire. His mind's made up. He's tired. His ears hurting. He's done it for God knows how many years. Like I say, 35 plus years, and he's just ready for a rest. He's ready to just chill out now and do other things that maybe don't involve late nights and having to be places at a certain time and being demanded by people, and going somewhere and not having to be there by a certain time, just thinking, I can go out for a nice drive, but it doesn't matter if it takes me an hour, or if it takes me 2 hours to get there. So big respect to DJ Sai. Absolute legend in the hardcore scene. He was one of my favorite. The thing is, I say one of my favorites, and the thing about it is, when it comes to the hardcore scene, typically the UK hardcore scene. So for me, my era of what I liked, when I delve back into UK hardcore, what I like out of UK hardcore is I like the 2000s. I like the 2000s all the way up to sort of round. Well, I mean, I like a lot of the new hardcore now, but the era that I really liked was when you had like Raver Baby, when you had Quash Records, Essential Platinum, Muffin Music, when all of them labels were kind of going off. So the Cyan Unknown era was absolute golden for me. There was loads of Cyan Unknown tunes that I really liked, one of them being Caught Up in Your Love. That was an absolute belter of a tune. There's another track as well, and I just can't for the life of me remember what it's called. And there's a bounce version that I like to play. It was a bounce for You Are My Fantasy. That is an absolute belter of a tune. You Are My Fantasy, absolute blinder of a tune. And there's many more to mention. Harmony, a remix of Sweet Harmony. They did so many good tracks together, and that's the thing. I liked all of the hardcore DJs at that time, from the Cyan Unknown to the Dougal and Gamma to the Breeze and Styles. And if you remember, it was always a duo. It was always two people. It was always like Cyan Unknown, Breeze and Styles, Dougal, Gamma. That were all, they were like the big forefronts of hardcore. Then you had, of course, like Scott Brown and stuff like that, and then you had like your likes of Joey Riot, Kurt. But like for me, there was loads of good Cyan Unknown tunes from the Quash days that just absolutely belting. So really, really good times, and I will miss them. But unfortunately, we're not in them days anymore. And a lot of people still live and breathe by them days, and think that there was nothing better than the Quash records, and the hardcore music today sucks. And I don't think the hardcore music today sucks. I do sometimes listen to some of the tracks and think it's not like it's not like it used to be, because it's not. But I listen to the era of the old Cyan Unknowns and the Dougal and Gammas, and they were an era. They were and they were an absolute they were a good time. And I think now the fact that you listen to them tracks in that style, and that is that era, rather than, like, I don't know, say that style of hardcore still kind of being made now, and but like the tracks and like the style of tracks were just not that good, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know, like say Cyan Unknown were still making, they decided that they were going to make some form of reunion, and they made a track together, and it was just like an old Quash tune, but it was just a terrible tune. Like, it would really, like, so like I'm kind of glad now that, like, the hardcore that we kind of hear today is like a bit more like newer and different, and then it kind of like it leaves like almost like them old tracks that are part of history, and them tracks are good and you can go back and listen to them, and there isn't like that same style of music that's kind of ruined it, if that makes sense, because music's changed a lot. So, but yeah, what can I say? Yeah, I mean, it's just a shame he's retired. Like, it's gutting, and I feel a little bit like it's the end of an era. But this is where the up and comers, and I've said this a lot of times in streams, like, this is where the up and comers need to make their stand. They need to start really doing something to get themselves out there, because if Psy's retiring now, who's going to retire next, or who's going to die next? And I know it's not nice to say it, but unfortunately, these legends that we've followed for years, they get old. And and if Psy's struggling with his hearing, what about other people that have been on stages for years? That were from around Psy's time. They're probably going to be feeling the same or somewhat similar, where their ears not doing them too good, and maybe another year or 2 years, and they could be retiring, and people need to replace them. We need that replacement. If we don't get it, then the scene will just die. The the scene will just completely die. So yeah, so there we go. So that's going to do it. Make sure to like, comment, share. We'll see you soon.